That sounds so good, Cobb, that I lay awake at night humming it.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Here we are. Mostly sports talk right here. Ken Allison, Cobb Oxford. And we're recording this on this is a Wednesday, isn't it?
It is a Wednesday.
Yeah, the 11th of February. We only do, once a week. We could do many more, but Cobb and I can never find enough to talk about. We would run out of words to say. And we have three or four things I do want to talk about, though, Cobb. And I guess we need to start off. You were last night at the basketball game, I'm sure.
Yes, I was.
Now, have we had a medical report on Rod Hall after that tackle with a few seconds left? He got clobbered. I thought he had been hit by a linebacker.
Well, and Coach Brownell said after the game, it was a scrum and could have been a call. We didn't get it. Harrison managed to grab hold of the ball and got a pretty good look there at the end. It just bounced away. But, yeah, it was I don't know, the last two games, the Tigers who really have concentrated this year on trying to get the ball inside and make Landry Noko a big factor in the offense.
But he refuses to do that.
Well, have struggled to get to the line. And Rod Hall attacks the basket and doesn't get a call. And so I don't know. It's really unusual. But the jacket came off early last night after a backcourt call, which was just hideous. But hey, that's the way it goes. I mean, they had a couple of really bad mistakes down the stretch and end up losing by 2. So.
I've always said it should not come down to a play, no matter what your sport. It shouldn't come down to
No, you always focus on the stuff that happens at the end of the game. But they built a nice lead in the first half, looked really solid first 15 minutes of the game. And but then the second half was back and forth, both teams trading the lead. And Clemson got the miss they wanted at the line and had the ball down 2 with like 21 seconds to play and just didn't get a call and couldn't get the ball to go in. So you move on and got to get to 18 wins somehow and then hope that there aren't many upsets in conference tournaments and you can get probably back to the NIT.
Yeah. So with that being said, a couple of basketball legends have left us since you and I were here before. First was Dean Smith. Regardless of what we personally think about Dean, he was one of the most successful who ever did what he did for his profession.
Right.
And I like to tell this story. I tried to write it on Facebook or something, or maybe TigerNet, maybe both. Back, I used to do PA, and where I was located at the scorer's table was right on the end. I think Dale since maybe up 1 or 2 now. But the head coach of the other team always sat right. They usually had their left elbow on my table. That's fine, right there. Dean was always the third seat down. He always did that. All right, so we're in a game. Clemson's doing pretty well. Occasionally they would beat him down here.
Yeah.
And so they were doing, and a guy called a foul on North Carolina. Dean, it's kind of late in the game. Dean called an immediate timeout. And the officials, I don't know what they do anymore since I don't go to games much anymore. One of them always stood directly in front of the scorer's table with the ball in his hand, looking up into the crowd. So the team came and sat down, and they around whoever the assistant coach was at the time, and Dean stepped over in front of me. This is the timeout now. Stepped in front of me and stared at that official who had made that call. Just stared the entire timeout. Even after the teams went back on the court, he stood there a moment. That guy did not blow his whistle the rest of the game. I called it a passive intimidation, because Dean could do it. He just did that. and it was kind of a thing, with him. And of course, everybody here remembers the famous deal where he hollered at what's his name on the Clemson player and
Turbay.
Yeah, Turbay.
Yeah.
And Barnes jumped in his face, and it was kind of a
the
comical
story
thing.
goes that he egged Barnes on, said go ahead and hit me, go ahead and hit me.
Yeah.
So the commissioner called him for a private meeting, fined both of them, and but nobody would stand up to Dean. Nobody in the league liked him. He was very innovative. The huddle at the free throw line.
How about the four corners? Didn't he invent the four corners?
Which led to the shot clock.
Yeah.
The run and jump, just the rapid changing of defenses, the pointing to the player who made the pass from the player who made the basket.
Yeah.
All kind of stuff. I think, and I was never a big fan, because most of the time he won. Nobody liked him, and he was a whiner. And they still talk about a fifth foul that Michael Jordan got that Dean says was not a charge, and everybody in existence who has seen the film or was at the game says it was a charge.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing about Dean Smith is he played for Fog Allen at Kansas, who learned the game from Dr. James Naismith, the guy who invented the game. So
really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
It's only 2 degrees of separation between the guy who actually created basketball and Dean Smith.
Now, I did not know that about his coach. No, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's true.
And speaking of a coaching tree, another coaching tree, Jerry Tarkanian.
Yeah, one of the all-time classics.
Gosh.
Loved
All right.
the Tark because the Tark was not afraid of the NCAA.
He wasn't afraid of anything. He got a lot of trouble.
He went fist fight. He went into fist fights with the NCAA over and over and over.
When he did not need to sometimes.
And nobody will ever forget the performance his team put on the national championship game when they beat Duke by 30 for the national championship.
Yeah.
But just incredibly athletic teams. They even changed the nickname to the Running Rebels because that's what they did. They ran and they ran and they ran and they ran, and they just ran people out of the gym. And also, I think Long Beach State, but had several scrapes with the NCAA. I know I was out one of my trips to Vegas. We went to an Italian place there near the convention center, and that was one of his favorite, if not his only, Italian restaurant in Las Vegas. They actually had a room called the Tarkanian Room, and that's where he would eat when he came to
and
that
hold
restaurant.
court
And hold court.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but I'm, for lack of a better term, watching the coverage of Dean Smith over the weekend. Yeah, the social justice thing and bringing in Charlie Scott and writing all the thank you notes and the family and but I really, to be honest with you, Ken, after watching it, I just wanted to throw up in my mouth. It just they were trying to make a saint out of the guy, and I knew that there was a competitive underbelly that he couldn't have a post game press conference without having several backhanded compliments at the team he was playing,
sure,
the team that had just beat him.
Right.
He smoked like a smokestack.
Man, he was awful.
He hid that.
Back in the day,
he would. If you were ever standing in the tunnel at Littlejohn when he came through, he had have one lit up before his foot ever got off the floor.
Yeah,
I mean, not a big deal. I mean, but everybody knew it, but he tried to hide it. But
he didn't hide it much, though.
But, Terry Holland once named his dog Dean because it whined so much. And Lefty Driesell was famous for, after Dean walked out of a coaches meeting one time, saying, "We got to get that guy." So it was very much the
loved Lefty, by the way.
ABC,
I loved Lefty Driesell.
ABC, everybody but Carolina. I mean, nobody liked North Carolina and Dean Smith, and a lot of that dislike was not only that they won, but the arrogance with which they won with. And there was nothing warm and fuzzy about Dean Smith.
Not at all.
There was nothing that would endear you to Dean Smith. He just he was just a basketball coach. I remember my high school coach. I didn't play high school basketball, but the guy that coached high school basketball at Seneca told me a story one time about going up to a clinic in Chapel Hill, and part of the clinic was watching a practice, and he said guys were a la George Karl diving in the stands and knocking each other down, so there's blood everywhere. And after about 2.5 hours of that, Dean got in front of coaches and apologized for his guys really not getting after it today in practice. So, it was that type deal that just but yes, he was an innovator. Yes, he was a winner. It is sad that somebody who was known so much for their memory. I mean, I heard Billy Packer over the weekend talk about there was never a time that he saw Dean that Dean didn't say, "How is Barbara? How is Mark? How is everybody?" He knew all the names. How's Brant? He knew Billy's kids. He knew, and he would ask. And so, I mean, he had an incredible memory. And
remember now,
to go out,
Packer played at Wake.
Right. But to go out to dementia and Alzheimer's is just really cruel.
Back to Tarkanian for a moment. His coaching tree would include Bobby Knight. It would also include. I'm not sure if it wasn't some trickle down there to.
How are he and Knight
Coach
related?
K?
How are he and Knight related?
Was Knight not an assistant with him?
I don't know.
I might be. Look it up right quick.
I am.
And then if Knight was his assistant, that was Coach K was on the staff at Army when Knight was there. Am I?
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. So maybe I'm missing that link.
I think Tarkanian was a West Coast guy the whole time. I don't think he ever coached anywhere east of Las Vegas.
Okay, maybe I'm a little wrong there, but
we'll get it. We'll get a list here.
But he was one of those kind of guys like Lefty. Now, and let me tell you I loved Lefty, and Lefty would sit beside me on there, and he would say and jump up and reach over and take that old left elbow and poke me and say, "That'll get him going. That'll get him going." Talking about the students, that'll get him going.
Jerry Tarkanian was 706 and 198. He coached at two community colleges, Riverside and Pasadena. He coached at Long Beach State from 68 to 73. UNLV from 73 to 92. The San Antonio Spurs in 1992.
Now that I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then he finished his career at Fresno State from 95 to 2002.
That was a long time there.
NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship 1990. Regional Championships, Final Four, 77, 87, 90, and 91. 729 and 201 across all divisions. So
and nothing mentioned about his coaching tree there though.
Well, and let me see. I'm looking. Probably not. I don't think.
Okay.
No, I don't think I can't.
The best way to look that up would be go to Bobby Knight and see.
Here we go. Let's see. He was beaten by Knight.
A lot of people were.
Hoosiers, the eventual national champion. Finally, in 1990, Tarkanian led UNLV to the championship, beating Duke 103 to 73. So,
who was coaching then at Duke?
Krzyzewski.
Was Kay there? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I cannot
the following
remember when
year,
he came,
Duke came back and upset him 79-77.
Okay.
So.